the nature of, I guess, a holiday and celebrating a holiday is really more about what you value. And so if they value something else, I guess.
So in that case, you would say that the neo-Nazis celebrating Hitler's birthday is just as valid as Christmas, legitimate as Christmas.
Yes.
Change my mind, Christmas edition. Well, Kwanzaa edition, really.
The other
Not
Christmas.
so much. Yeah. It's just as valid. We'll get to that in a second. So, obviously, Kwanzaa, not an issue as near and dear to my heart as pro-life, the Second Amendment, the gender issue, free speech. But a lot of people don't know anything about Kwanzaa. And I think we've all grown up in school. Certainly I did in high school and college. It was put alongside Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, as though every holiday is just as legitimate or as valid as the next one. I don't think that's a good way to look at the world. I think it's incorrect. I think Kwanzaa's fake. It's a scam. And most of you don't know anything about the holiday that you think is Kwanzaa. Comment below. Do you think that all holidays are the same? Does it matter? Are these just festivities where you give gifts, or are they important sort of cultural landmarks, if you will? Comment. I want to hear from you. Story about me with Kwanzaa. I did the voice of the Brain on Arthur. I didn't know until the Christmas album that the Brain was a black bear. And I had to learn about Kwanzaa.
That's news to me as well.
And do the Kwanzaa rap.
Kwanzaa rap.
I was so bad they cut my verses and replaced it with background
Not
singers.
surprised at all.
Hey, come together now, it's Kwanzaa time.
I almost didn't work for you over that song.
I was fired very quickly as a child.
As you should have been.
As a voice actor. So comment below. Also, Change My Mind Army, loudofcluttershop.com. You can buy the shirt, topic of your choice, and engage in conversation. Don't wear it if you're just going to be bombastic ass. But if you want to engage in conversation, change some minds over the holidays, it's a great way to do it. Kwanzaa, is it fake?
Isn't done that way. The son of the queen, the left hand.
All right. So we just had a discussion on why there are only two genders. Now I am asserting the opinion that Kwanzaa is not as legitimate of a holiday as Christmas. I am open to my mind being changed. I will tell you, my opinions on this one aren't quite as strong, but it was seasonal.
Come on. Don't overdo it.
Sure, yeah, come on in. Yes, absolutely, sure. I keep getting texts here going up. What's your name, sir? Christian. Christian, nice to meet you, Christian. Here, you can hold the microphone. Someone complained.
I don't think they work.
No, it does work. Is the mic working? Yep. Yeah. Last time someone complained that I didn't give them the microphone, but often people say they don't want to hold it. So if you can hold it up closer to your... Sorry, what was your name again?
Christian.
Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, you said you had a question. So that's just, I don't believe Kwanzaa is as legitimate as a holiday as Christmas, and it's changed my mind.
Firstly, I don't quite want to change your mind yet. I was curious what you meant when you said legitimate. Like, what makes a holiday legitimate in your mind?
Sure. I guess in this instance, let's say I don't believe it's a holiday that should be celebrated with passion or fervor. Christmas, and listen, let's acknowledge right off that we don't necessarily know when Christ was born, right? It could be a celebration because of the winter solstice and the Babylonians, so let's go with that. But Christ had a historical impact that was significant, that was very positive. Whether you think Christians are good or not, Christ himself, there's very little argument that he was a bad historical figure. And of course, it's been celebrated in societies for a very long time and steeped in tradition based on a legitimate historical figure. Christ didn't create Christmas. People created Christmas in honor of Christ.
I see what you mean.
Kwanzaa. Yes. Do you know when? Well, so that's why I believe Christmas is a legitimate holiday. Would you like to know why I don't believe Kwanzaa is?
Yeah, sure.
Unless you wanted to take the ball there and run with it.
Well, firstly, I should say I'm not very educated on Kwanzaa, but I'm more.
Do you celebrate Kwanzaa?
No, I don't. I'm more interested in calling a holiday legitimate because. Yeah. Like, I think firstly you need to define a holiday, and so a holiday, I guess, is sort of like a celebration.
Yes.
Based often on like a value or something like.
Historical figure or
something.
event.
You're celebrating some event like winter solstice or something along that line, and so essentially, for something to be a holiday, it really just means that you personally value it and celebrate it.
Well,
and so,
not necessarily as a society, right? So. With the United States, we celebrate Christmas because it's 1,600 years of tradition and 92% of Americans celebrate it.
I see what you mean.
Now, you're African-American, is that?
Yes.
Do you prefer what, African-American, black,
just
person
black.
of color? I don't want to get the ACLU on that. Okay, black. So you said black. See, I had one person say, how dare you say black? This is where we've come to as a country. So 92% of Americans celebrate it. You're black. You probably celebrate Christmas.
I don't celebrate.
You don't celebrate
either.
Christmas any
No.
day. Okay. Well, even a higher percentage of black Americans celebrate Christmas than white Americans. Less than 4% of African Americans celebrate Kwanzaa. It's likely closer to 1%.
Yeah.
Nobody celebrates it. Now, we're told that it's as legitimate, and we teach it alongside Christmas or Hanukkah or Passover. Are you aware of the history of Kwanzaa?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Is anyone here? Well, we'll keep it between just you and I, and then afterwards maybe we can go because this is one a lot of people don't know. Kwanzaa was invented in the 60s.
I knew that much.
Either 66 or 68. Do you know by whom?
No, I don't recall.
Okay, just one question. Who was the inventor of Kwanzaa?
I know you.
Stop it! Leading the way,
Irrelevant.
Mr. Honor. All right. Maulana Karenga. Yes, Maulana Karenga. Known by his real name as Ron Everett. So Ron Everett invented Kwanzaa in the 1960s. Now, he's the man who invented it, right? Himself. So let's say Christ invented Christmas. It was like, you're all going to celebrate my birthday. Right? I don't demand you celebrate my birthday. It was other people who honored him. Ron Everett wanted other African Americans to celebrate Kwanzaa. I don't know if you know, it's not an African deal.
Yeah.
It's entirely African American. Ron Everett based the ideas of Kwanzaa, if you look at their practices, actually, it's rooted deeply in far left communism and Marxism. He even mentioned Cuban and Chinese socialism, communism as the roots for Kwanzaa.
Okay.
This was a man who was deeply troubled. This was a man who actually was charged with abusing two women of his black nationalist party, forcing them to put soldering irons up against their skin, beating them with electrical cords. A really, really bad person.
If you don't mind if I cut in,
No, go ahead.
That seems like a bit of an ad hominem. So it's kind of
No,
like,
he did. He was
I know, but it's like it's so irrelevant to your point. Is all I wanted to say.
Well, it's not because here's why. Let me ask you this: how did you feel about the Confederate statues?
Confederate statues. I feel like my position on the Confederate statues is very odd because I could definitely see like it's almost like a swastika. It's like it's just a symbol, and at the end of the day, it's completely meaningless.
Okay.
But it's kind of hard to deny the fact that there is a history attached to it.
Sure.
And that history can make people feel very uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so I felt like there was justification to remove the Confederate statues because it made people not feel safe.
Sure.
I feel like as a society, that's sort of like a goal we should push for to make people feel safe. And so, but I didn't feel like taking them down, just breaking them and things like that was necessarily justified because I feel like particularly it was more about the artwork for me. I felt like the statues were very intricate artwork.
You don't hold here. We won't be able to hear you because you got a soft voice. It's very soothing, but I can't hear in the mic. Well, the reason I asked this, and I understand that that's nuanced, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's remove the nuance, okay?
Yeah.
The reason the nuance, like, for example, a lot of the founding fathers we celebrate in memoriam because they were virtuous, even if they had slaves. Like, I think we can all agree George Washington did some great stuff.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree, even though Abraham Lincoln, right, had slaves at one point, did some good stuff, right? So the reason that we celebrate a lot of these people is because they had some good qualities.
Yeah.
But I understand the nuance. Now, how would you feel if there were, or what would you think if there were a holiday dedicated to someone who was a slave owner, who abused their slaves, who called for violence against others, who really was an overall bad person but didn't have any redeeming value? Would you say that holiday is as legitimate as Christmas?
I think I would say yes, and that I say that because of the nature of, I guess, a holiday and celebrating a holiday. It's really more about what you value, and so if they value something else, I guess.
So in that case, you would say that the neo-Nazis celebrating Hitler's birthday is just as valid as Christmas, legitimate as Christmas.
Yes, I would.
Okay. Well, in that sense, then I would just disagree. Okay. I mean, as a societal holiday, Kwanzaa is not as legitimate as Christmas.
I think that's really where our disagreement is. I think the core issue is that you find holidays for it to be legitimate, it has to be societally accepted.
Well, let me ask you
socially
this. Should we
accepted.
teach the celebration of Hitler's birthday alongside in history class Christ or
I would say
George Washington or the Emancipation Proclamation? Should we teach this as a holiday?
I would say no.
Okay.
But I also
We
would
teach
say
Kwanzaa, so it's a legitimate holiday.
I would say that we shouldn't teach Kwanzaa, but I would also say that we shouldn't teach Christmas. And so I don't
Okay.
think that it's particularly more legitimate in that sense.
Okay, I think we disagree, but I appreciate your consistency on that.
May I ask though, why do you think Christmas should be taught in classrooms?
Well, I think Christmas is celebrated, A, because of the founding of our country and the idea of Judeo-Christian principles. Again, 1,600 years of established tradition, and 92% of Americans celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, but it's sort of like a separation of church and state thing. It's like, sure, that makes a lot of sense to teach your kids about Christmas.
Yeah.
But you should teach your kids about Christmas. It doesn't belong really in the schools, I feel.
I mean, listen, there are many kids maybe don't necessarily celebrate Kwanzaa. Right?
Yeah.
You know, if that many kids weren't involved in the the French Revolution, but they're learning about it. They're learning about Christmas because there's 1,600 years at least of celebrated tradition and 92% of Americans. They need to learn about it. My issue is when we teach as though, because of political correctness, Kwanzaa is the same in tradition, in scope, in practice, or in value, because it's not. That's my position.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you, though.
Yeah,
I think we
I can
agree on
see.
some, and I appreciate your consistency and how respectful
Yeah.
it's been productive.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Thank you. Christian?
Yes.
Thank you, Christian.
Should I just place this here?
Yeah, you can place that there. Thank you.
Hey, if you like this video, subscribe, or more importantly, support by joining Mug Club for the daily show, louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club, because that's the only way we can do this anymore with YouTube squeezing us. Apparently, they don't like civil change my mind discussions. I'm in a onesie, by the way, because it's Christmas and you can't judge me. louderwithcrowder.com/Mug Club. If you're still judging, I can see it.